A senior political writer for the San Francisco Chronicle, Joe Garofoli, wrote about this very issue and more. He joins us this morning to talk about the resistance coming from inside the administration. Joe, thanks for being here.
This is a real moment here. This is, as Bob Woodward put in his book, which is also detailing some of the same things, this is an administrative coup d'etat coming from inside the White House. Some people find it reassuring that there are people there who are keeping the president, basically protecting the country from the president. Think of what that's saying. That's terrifying. The
president is clearly incensed. Do you think that if this person is found, he or she will be fired?
Oh, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And the next question here is, are these folks who are so far been anonymous, is it better that they unmask and come forward and say, okay, I'm ready to testify before Congress, or are they more valuable to the country remaining anonymous and sort of continuing their work behind the scenes?
And what would happen, Joe, if they stepped forward, out of the shadows and confronted the president and said, you got to do it this way?
Well, number one is, as you said, they would be fired. But also, as we've seen, there's been no support, or should I say, opposition to the president in Congress. Only the people who are leaving, like your Jeff Flakes of the world, Senator Jeff Flake, Senator Bob Corker of Tennessee, people who are resigning who have nothing left to lose. The rest fear Trump. They fear the Twitter attacks. They fear his supporters who might be attacking him. They might be primaried. So right now, Trump has the upper hand. There's been no courage in Congress to come forward against him.
And that's why I've been curious to know, what do you think, what impact does this have leading into the midterm elections? Because as you mentioned, President Trump has a very loyal group of supporters. Nothing is going to change their mind, it appears. So does this change anything? Is this even really revelatory at all, in a sense?
Right. A lot of these things are things that have been said before, but this time that they're coming, they're louder and from inside the White House. The only thing that could change this trajectory would be if Democrats take over the House, and then they can start impeachment hearings. Or if the Mueller report comes out, we're not going to see anything before the midterms. But that's the thing that then Republicans could say, well, Mueller's saying this, let's move forward. That might change some minds, but this is not going to change any minds. It's certainly not going to change the minds of the 30 to 35% of the people who support the president through everything.
What if we knew the staff member that has been feeding this information?
Right.
How would that change the game?
Well, it depends who that staffer is.
Right.
I mean, there's also, I think someone put out 13 people who it could be, among them the vice president, but we have no idea who this is. What the hope is, at least for, both from a journalistic sense and from an American sense, is that this person in the Times, this anonymous person, was a senior level staffer. Now, a lot of people identify themselves as senior level staffers, but who aren't. But you'd hope it'd be cabinet level or above, right. Or someone who's some very close confidant of the president.
Is the timing of this and Bob Woodward's book all because of the midterms, you think?
Oh, I don't know about if there was. I don't think it was coordinated in any way. Maybe because apparently this person came forward to the New York Times about a week ago, and Woodward's book has been in the works for. I mean, he's the most meticulous researcher and reporter of our generation. So that's been in the works for years. But the timing of it coming before the midterm definitely raises issues about the president that could sway a few independent voters, and that's who they're fighting for. In California, all these House races, they're talking about 5% of the voters are the ones who could be swung. They're truly undecided. Everybody else is locked in.
Let's take Ellie's question about what does this really mean now to the Brett Kavanaugh hearing, which just now broke for another recess this morning. I've been listening to this for the past couple of days, and I don't know that anyone's mind is being changed, either in the public or among the lawmakers. Is this all for show?
Some of it is for show, yes, absolutely. Because most of the people on the committee, certainly the Democrats, have already said I'm opposed to him before hearing one word from him. But that's to be expected. A lot of these hearings come in locked and loaded. People's opinions come in locked and loaded. So yeah, this is largely for show. There's a couple people. Our own Senator Kamala Harris is very likely going to run for president. This is free television for her. Same with Cory Booker, free television for him. And they're making a name for themselves in these hearings. Kamala Harris had an excellent question yesterday, that's going to be used as a clip in her campaign.
Did you talk to anybody about Bob Mueller?
And also, are there any laws that affect a man's body?
Right.
Does Congress make any laws that affect a man's body? Those two are going to be used as fundraisers and play to the base. And Booker today had an exchange where he said, I willfully disregarded the rules of this committee to make a point about we shouldn't be keeping all these documents secret.
Right.
So they're playing to several different audiences, and one is a national audience.
And with all that in mind, Kavanaugh's confirmation is kind of a foregone conclusion at this point.
Oh yeah. No, he hasn't swung any. The Republicans, or I'm sorry, the Democrats, who might have, bucked tradition here. Everybody's locked and loaded in this. So, I'm sorry, the Republicans who might have swung the other way, they're not going to vote for.
How about 12 hours in a day? Isn't that too much? I mean, come on.
You got to tip the cap to anybody who can sit in that chair for 12
an
hours
hour would be tough.
and especially batting last is Kamala Harris, who's probably one of the best prosecutors on that case. A lot of them are lawyers, but she's a prosecutor. And to be after sitting through like 12 hours of speechifying and a lot of it's BS, let's face it. And then to get drilled by a prosecutor after that. That's tough stuff.
And real quick, Joe, before we have to let you go, are the protesters helping or hurting their cause, or doing nothing for it?
Well, and for their cause, I don't know. I don't know if they're changing any minds. But I think that nobody's changing any minds.
It's all political theater, some would say. Joe Garofoli, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Senior political writer for the San Francisco Chronicle.
Good to be here.